Okay, it says I'm live. Hello, everybody. I am coming to you from a different area in my home. I thought I would change it up a little bit. I really hope that you guys can hear me because I'm going on a remote little system here. I don't know if you, oh, I can't show, but yeah, so that I can have a different audio experience. I hope that this is better. Let me get organized. I've not done this before. But I decided that I wanted to kick back a little bit while I was talking to you all. So I've got my big chair here, and I'm going to kick back in my chair, trying to find some space and get organized. I can't see what's really going on until I start the live. So excuse me while I get myself organized here because I have a notepad because you guys know I like to take notes and to leave messages and, for myself so I can know what I'm talking about. But hold on. I changed my drink to a tea, an unsweetened tea, and it's so good. All right, so today I wanted to go live and talk to you guys about mystical experiences and God's unconditional love and manifestation, because all of these things go hand in hand. And it's something that I have had my own personal journey with throughout my life. I have been processing through a lot of mystical experiences and things that happened to me that I didn't know what they were. But recently, I joined Dr. Joe Dispenza's monthly live talk where he talks about, hold on, just doing a little office work here, where he talks about all things that he teaches and that he's studying out in the world. And I had an opportunity to ask him a question. But first, I wanted to share with you all just one of the mystical experiences that I had had to see. Well, I would love to hear if you guys had any mystical experiences as well during your meditations or what have you, because I think we can really do ourselves a disservice in this life when we really don't understand the power of the universe, because the universe is something that is very unknown to all of us. It's something that can be scary, for lack of a better word, because it is unknown. And as human beings, we like to be comfortable in the known. So we can be a little freaked out when things happen to us. But as you will hear in my story, that what happened to me, this mystical experience, I don't say happened to me, I'll say happened for me because it was so incredibly beautiful. It was just amazing. This experience happened for me, and I had an opportunity to ask Dr. Joe Dispenza live on one of his monthly calls because he does these monthly Q&As if you join a subscription. And I'm a seeker. I'm a seeker of truth. I'm a seeker of answers. I want to understand the unknown. I want to understand why things happen to me, where these things come from, what it means, and how I can implement it into my life in a more serving way. So I see that I already have someone who's joined. I would love to know who's here. If you wouldn't mind throwing your name in chat and let me know who's visiting. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kristen Brown. Every time it comes to explaining what I do, I kind of stumble. I've changed it 8,000 times because really what I am is a student of life. I am someone who has learned a few things through the decades that I have lived. I've had a lot of traumatic and dramatic experiences, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, a lot of hardship, a lot of betrayals, a lot of suffering, and I've learned from them. And like Dr. Joe says, is experiences healed equals wisdom. That's where our wisdom comes from. Not only that, our wisdom can also come from the universe. So all this is going to tie in together about what I'm talking about. But I've also learned that being a manifester in this life, that the more faith that we can have in the unknown, the better we are able to manifest, because a big part of the issue with people is really not believing that they can have what it is that they want to have. And I talk a lot about shame and unworthiness recovery because this is really healing that foundational place inside of us that can trip us up when we're trying to manifest our best life. And doing the work to heal that inner world and to work through those limiting beliefs and fears and things that are going on is what can. Oops, sorry, I thought I turned my phone off. Kristen Brown. Oh, that's a funny text from my daughter that I will not read out loud. This is what I love about live because you guys can get it. And I have an idea who's in there, and I'm actually gonna who's watching right now because I'm going to text and find out if that is it. Because I have a funny question. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, I had a mystical experience, and actually I've had many mystical experiences over the past 10, 12 years of my life that had to do with meditation specifically. And when these things happen, it's not like you can pick up the phone and call your friend and say, "Hey, yo, oh, Lindsay's here. Hi, Lindsay. Yes, I will see you today, Miss Lindsay." Um, I have had a lot of mystical experiences, but it's like I said, you can't like pick up the phone, call your buddy and say, "Hey, yo, hey, has this ever happened to you?" Because chances are these type of things haven't really happened to many people because they're just not commonplace. It's kind of like seeing dead people or seeing apparitions or getting messages from the universe. Sometimes this healing journey is really, really specific to us. It's specific to what we're going through and what's going on in our own mind, body, and spirit when these things start to come up for us. So I don't even know. I'm an avid meditator. I tend to, back in the day, I was meditating every day for hours because I was in such a state. And that's what really started my meditation journey, my conscious meditation journey, where I would sit down and I would really do conscious meditations because I'm going to write that down. There's other ways that we can meditate. I'm just going to write that down so I remember. I'm writing really messy right now. Okay. All right, because I really want to remember to tell you guys about that, but I don't want to get off track. So it but starting 10, 12 years ago is really when I sat down and did actual meditations where I would get myself, and I always lay down. A lot of times people do it sitting up or other positions. I don't do that. That doesn't work for me for whatever reason. I haven't really tried it, to be honest. Well, yes, I guess I have in Kundalini yoga. However, it's always better for me for some reason to be in a really, really super comfortable position because if anything starts to feel weird for me, then that can be distracting to me. That's just me. And that's one thing that I want you to know is your meditation journey is specific to you. By the way, my husband is in here and honey, how's my sound? Because I'm using my little tiny microphone. Or Lindsay, you can tell me how's my sound? Because if I clip it on my lapel down here, it probably sounds farther away. So if you guys could give me like a little mic check, that would be good. That's why I'm holding it up here. I'm thinking about getting one of those little cute little pink ones that Pinky Patel uses. They're little actual mini microphones. This is a lapel mic. So in my journey, I really started to meditate like a crazy 10, 12 years ago, probably 12 years ago, 9, 10. Yeah. Well, man, a long time ago because I needed to, because I was stressed out. I was overwhelmed. I was a hot, hot mess internally, and I needed to calm my nervous system. And I need to talk about that too. Creative. And I'll get to that. Okay. So I needed to calm my nervous system. It was a really big thing that was going on for me. And I started this practice, and it was a lot of breathing. It was a lot of just really trying to clear my mind and to get myself into a space that I could actually think and I could actually function in life because all I was doing is walking around in this mad state of survival because my life was falling apart all around me. And I had a couple of mystical experiences back then, but that's not the one I want to focus on today. The one I want to focus on today is the one that recently happened. And this was probably, I'm going to guess because I don't remember time super well, but it was about 3 months ago. And I was in a meditation. It was a Dr. Joe meditation, I believe. It wasn't just my binaural beats, which is another meditation that I do. But I was in a Dr. Joe meditation, and all of a sudden I felt like what happened is that I was moved across what he calls the veil. And the veil is moving from this form, this world, which we call the 3D, into a different form, which we could call maybe the 5D. I'm not super versed on the Ds, so nobody hold me hostage to that if I get it wrong. But I was moved across the veil. And in that movement across the veil, it was just like, first of all, I was in this meditation. I was just completely in divine space. I was just out in the world, and the way Dr. Joe explains it is no time, no body, you're no body, you're no one, you're no persona or identity, no place, you're nowhere, no thing, no nothing. So you're just basically, it's the essence of you that is floating around. And when you're in that space, that essence of you, that is in the place that we are actually in oneness with the divine, which people could call God. It could call consciousness. People could call it universal inspiration. It could be called universal intelligence, whatever anybody wants to term this phrase. So when we get, because no, I'm not the only one that can get into this space, we all can. When we get into this space of just one, it's nothingness. And Dr. Joe says a lot of time there is everything in nothing. And that's something really important to do. In fact, I wrote that as a reminder in my phone because as a conscious creator and a manifester, I remind myself of these things because quite often I am in thinking mode, brain mode, planning mode, buying the right microphone mode. Right now I'm writing a new mini ebook to post on my website for people to download. There's a lot of thinking stuff that goes along with my business as well as the creative aspects of my business, which is what I'm doing with you all right now. This is really creative. This is a flow state. And as you can tell, while I'm in this flow state, a lot of information starts to come in, which is why I have to stop and write notes, because this is what happens when we are in that flow state, where when we are in those lower brain waves where we can actually receive information, which is highly, highly beneficial in manifesting. I need to write that down, receiving for manifesting, because I don't want to get off track, but I don't want to miss anything here. So anyway, with that being said, I was in this meditation state and I went into that nothingness zone. And then I felt like I was moved across a veil. Now, when I say the veil, there's no form, there's no feeling, there's no smell. It is nothing of the 3D world. I just felt a shift where I was moved into a space of what I can only explain as unconditional love. It is the same exact space first of all, when I tried to explain it to people, it was very difficult to explain because it's not something that we can feel in this walking around state that we are in. I guess we could if we got ourselves into a lower brainwave state. But what I'm saying is when we are in what he calls beta, high beta, which is beta is the highest brainwave state where we are solving problems, we are in active thinking, and we're getting things done. That's beta. Okay. That's when we're using a lot of our brain to think. Alpha, we move down just a little bit and we can get more into the creative spaces, which is like a flow state while we are awake. Then we can go into theta, which is an even deeper state where it's sort of that state. I can explain it as when you just wake up in the morning, like you're not asleep anymore, but you're not fully awake. That would be theta. And I get a lot of information in my theta state. Okay, I call it lucid awareness. Could also be when we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and we're falling back to sleep, and then we start to receive messages, which is something that I experience a lot as well. And I'll get random messages about random people. One time it was about my friend, and I got this full download for her, and I messaged her the next day, and I'm like, "Yo, this is what happens when you're a conduit for spirit. When you decide to be a light worker, is that, and you're open to receiving from the universe, and you're fully open. Like, you can't lie to the universe. The universe knows if you're trying to pull the wool over over its eyes, because we are oneness with it. So we can't lie to the universe. First of all, it's not separate from us, but it knows everything, all places, all things, at all times, for everyone. So I messaged my friend and I said, "Hey friend, here's what happened. I got this message from you. Do you want to hear it?" Because this stuff that comes from universe is capital T truth. And capital T truth is stuff that sometimes people are ready for. And they're like, "Sign me up. I want to hear this thing. I want to know all you got. God's talking to you. Let me know." Right. And some people are like, "Eek, that's scary. I don't want to know," because they're still hiding from themselves. They're still hiding from truth. that can move them because their ego is still reigning, keeping up the active audience in their brain. It's the loudest voice in the head, the ego. And so it's talking a lot and it's trying to control. And sometimes people haven't moved enough over into their God self, their higher self yet, to where they can receive that information. So I always ask permission before this happens. As Lindsay knows, that she wrote here, she's excited for our session today. Lindsay's one of my clients, and this happened in a session with her where I actually closed my eyes and I said, I'm receiving right now. And I gave her some information. And what was really cool is Lindsay goes, I've gotten that same message. And that tells me that Lindsay's open, that she's open to receiving. And that's how we shift and move in our life, y'all. I'm not sure if she's still in the room because I can't tell who's in here. I see a couple of people have joined me, and I would love if you said hi. I'd love to know who I'm talking to. I don't mind talking to um, what do you call it? An audience I can't see, but it's much funner when I know who I'm communicating with. Hold on, I can take my tea. I need an affiliate with Starbucks or a brand deal because that is Jade Citrus Mint tea without honey, and it is absolutely amazing. So in this state where I was in this unconditional love state, when I tried to describe it to people afterwards, it was very, very difficult to describe. The only way I can explain it is that all you feel is love. It's just love and peace. There's nothing else. It's just this state of love and peace. See, I can't explain it. It's very difficult to explain. The only way I can liken it is to what people who have experienced near-death experiences can explain it as. They explain it the same way. So when people experience NDEs, they're actually crossing the veil into another state. I loved how that came through. Yes. They can actually go into another state or another state of being or another realm of consciousness for whatever. People got all kinds of names for this. And many times they are looking down at themselves and then they have the choice whether to return or not. That's typically what happens in a near-death experience. So that's the same thing. I wasn't dying. I was just in a meditation. But I experienced that. I crossed the veil and I was in this state of unconditional love. And I looked to my left and I saw my eldest daughter, and she was facing like opposite me, and she was laughing and just having a good time. And the message that came into my brain was, now remember, these messages are specific to us. These are not for everybody. These are not across the board. When spirit speaks to you, it's for you. Do you notice how I changed the name? I just called it spirit. I also call it source. I also call it universe, unconditional love. So you're going to hear me change the name a lot because it's whatever moves through me at that time, because it's really that which is nameless, the truth of it all. It's unconditional love. So I looked to my daughter, and she's who was standing there, and the message that I got was, your children are going to be okay. And I thought about this like, oh, can you hear my cat? I don't know if you guys can hear my cat. Hopefully you can't, but she's over there having a little, she needs some attention. So your children are going to be okay. And then it moved me. I'm saying it, but I'm going to talk about what Dr. Joe explained this as to me in a second. Then it moved me back into just simply the meditative state. So I come out of this meditation and I'm like, what the bleep? I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was about, but I got that message. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be real here. The first thing I thought was, am I going to die? Because it said your children are going to be okay. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot of my story, I've been basically a single parent for the majority of my career, a parenting career, because my first husband and I worked opposite schedules. So I was alone pregnant. I was alone with the newborn. I was alone pregnant with a newborn, not a newborn, a 1.5-year-old, because he worked opposite schedules than me. And then I was doing a lot of parenting by myself. Then we got divorced and I was by myself. And then I got married and then he was a pilot and he was gone all the time. So I was by myself. And then we got divorced and I was by myself. So a lot of my parenting career has been single parenting. And I took my parenting extremely seriously. And I had it in my mind that I wanted to raise, literally, this is the mantra I had, high functioning. I wanted to raise my kids into a high functioning adult who actually liked and enjoyed me. which means we can raise our kids into high functioning adults that hate you, that don't want to be around you because you're controlling or you're a jerk or whatever it might be. I didn't want that. So when I talk about really caring about the heart and well-being of my kids, like it was my job. Like I made this my job. And I shifted and morphed and changed and healed and studied and asked questions of people and did everything I could possibly do to show up as the best parent that I could be. And they literally were my priority. Now, of course, I had the day-to-day life priorities of doing hair and making money and managing a salon and then, all the things that come with that. Baseball practice and periods and school and all the things. I had all the things, cleaning the house, landscaping. But they were just that thing on my mind where I would actually leave a function if one of my kids needed me. All they need to do is send me a text, they're struggling, I was home. Because I wanted to be there for them and really help them through their stuff in life. So with that being said, them being my priority was so big for me. But as they're growing, I believe that God Source Universe was saying to me, you can let go a little bit. They're older now. You don't have to keep such a hyper vigilant eye on them as you had. Because even at my eldest is turning 29 on the 12th of this month. My son is 27, and I have one that lives with me still who's 17. Now, she, of course, is my baby, and she's home with me, and she still gets a lot of me. But the older two, God was saying, they were still on my mind all the time. So I remember when I went to Georgia recently with my husband and my youngest, and I said to him when we got there, I said, I just need you to know what my mind is doing right now. What my mind is doing is like, where's Sydney? Where's Brody? Like I'm always keeping account. I trained my brain to always, be scanning the environment for where they are. Are they okay? Do they need me? Is everything okay? And this was God saying to me, it's okay. It makes me want to cry, you guys. It tears me up because this was God saying to me the thing I needed to hear, which was you can relax. They're okay. They're okay. They got this. And I believe that was said in that unconditional state of love because universe wanted me to know that they're in this state of unconditional love as well, not just me. And this is the same for you. There is all we see, you guys, is my plant, is my globe, is my TV, is my chair, is my laptop. We see so much in form that we don't really stop to realize that there's this whole other aspect to who we are, which is going to lead me into the question that I asked Dr. Joe on his live. Hold on. I'm telling you what. Yum, yum, yum. Decaf, too. This girl doesn't do caffeine doesn't like me. They accidentally gave me a caffeinated coffee the other day. Or no, it wasn't tea because this is decaf. Because I always get decaf, always have. And they gave me a caffeinated coffee, and I was like, by lunch. I was like, this is terrible. Anyway, other people don't have that, but I'm very sensitive. So, that being said, like I stated earlier on when I first started this live stream, and nobody was in here yet, so I will restate it. For those that are listening on the replay, you're going to have to hear this twice. But I have joined a Dr. Joe Dispenza's subscription group where he gets on a live call for 1 hour once a month. And it's a live Q&A. And you submit your question. And if your question is taken up by them, if they choose your question, then you can ask it live or you can get a facilitator to ask the question as well. I decided to speak mine live because I joined these talks. And I was on the talk and they said, yes, you can ask your question. So my question to him, and I'm not going to get it exactly perfect how I asked it, but basically I gave him the experience that I had. And I said, what does this mean? What is this about? And, why did this happen? Like this was out of the blue. What is this about? And I didn't explain the part about my kids because you only have so many characters that you can write your question. And Dr. Joe had a lot to say about this. And the first thing that he said about this was, congratulations. I want everybody to have this experience. And he said that it shows that I have been, I must be, that the reason why this happened is because universe or God knew, divine energy, whatever he calls it, the divine, I think he calls it, knew that I was ready for that next level. So it gave it to me. It gave me this next level. But what he also said, which blew my mind and why I'm in this group, is he said that what I just talked about, this reality that we see, you all, this wall behind me, these sconces, this lamp that looks like it's going to fall on my head, but it's not. This reality that we see is 1% of reality. Let that sink in. The reality that I moved into, the unconditional love of the universe, is the 99% reality. Do you know, I'm going to lean in for this, that I had to listen to that. I replayed that about 10 times. I'm like, am I getting this right? This is the 1% reality. Unconditional love of the universe, all that's out there in the ethers, is the 99% reality. We're only living in this extremely limited view of what's really out there. Isn't that crazy? It blew my mind. Apparently, I was ready for that. So I can wrap my head around it. But what it really does for me, okay, there it is. I told you the reminder comes up, everything and nothing on my phone. It just did. I'm going to show it to you. Can you see that? Because there's glare. I'm going to turn it a little sideways. Everything in nothing. I wasn't lying. I don't BS, you guys. I'm about as real as they come. The reason why I put reminders in my phone, and I highly, isn't that incredible, Lindsay? And I highly recommend you to do this as well. If there's anything that you are working on, any place that you are trying to retrain your brain to think differently, then I highly recommend that you put reminders in your phone. And it doesn't even have to be in your phone. I put sticky notes. I put one on the dash of my car one time. I put them everywhere that I tend to look. I also take dry erase markers and I write notes on my mirror in my bathroom because I walk in there and as I'm brushing or doing whatever, I can read that note right in front of me. This is how we retrain our brain because our brain is stuck in one little tiny reality, and that is the reality of our past. I'm really trying to break this down to be very palpable and very relatable and understandable. Our brain, our thinking brain, is a conglomeration of all the experiences that we've had. That is what we are functioning from. So when we have had betrayals, our brain is saying something like, we can't trust people. Okay? Because the betrayals shocked our system, and now we're in survival mode, victim mode of what people have done to us. So the brain is now wired to not trust. This is just one example. Okay? The 1% reality that we are grasping onto is that. And we're calling that real, and then we are functioning and acting from that space. Yet, we're over here trying to manifest. But our brain is going over here. Okay? That's what we're believing to be true. So you might be asking, well, how can I tap into this? Well, there's a lot to break down here, and I'm really trying to stay on track. The key is to discovering the limiting thoughts, the parts of your personality that are causing you to feel stuck or afraid. And by bringing those thoughts, I always do this, from the unconscious to the conscious. So we can't see it to where we can see it. And one of the tools that I share with people is to make a list of all the disempowered beliefs that you are believing. Anything that is rooted in fear, basically anything that's rooted in fear, that encompasses it right there. Because we are only Our psyche is only in one of two places at any given time. We are either in our fear, lower self, ego space, or we are in our love, higher self, God space. There is no in between. No in between. Right now, I'm in my higher self, God space. But if a car pulls in front of me, that might put me into fear space. Okay? Or if something happens, a trigger that brings up something from my past, then I'm in the past now and I might be in a fear space. I might be afraid of what's coming. Let's say somebody was very cheated on in their last relationship and then they go try to date. Okay? And then they start to date this person, but all these okay. I turned off these notifications. I had my daughter do it because my computer's new to me. And I'm sorry if that cut me out because I said when I'm live, those sounds will do that. So I'm sorry about that, you all. I'll get that fixed. So then we start to date from a place that we were afraid. All right. We don't know we're afraid. We're so excited. We got this new partner. It's really exciting. We love them and yay, and lots of sex, lots of fun and laughing and all these things. But then they get their phone rings one day and they look at it and just turn it back down. Triggered. Now your body starts to scan the environment for other signs that you're in danger. Okay? You're scanning and scanning and scanning for danger. That's what the brain will do. It's designed that way to keep us safe. It's our prehistoric, they call it the reptilian brain. That's the prehistoric brain that was designed back then so that we would live, so that we could keep living. We could get away from the T-Rex if we needed to. So the brain doesn't know the difference between physical threats and emotional threats. They're the same in the brain. So the brain goes, oh my gosh, this person might cheat on me, and starts scanning the environment. Here's where the reticular activating system kicks in, because if we're scanning the environment, the brain, it's going to find things. It's going to think that back up its claim in order to keep itself safe. Does that make sense to everybody? Put it in comments if you're following me. If you're following me so far, I would love to know. If you're not, ask for clarification because that's what these lives are about. So it will scan the environment for things, for ways that it is not safe. Have you ever had where you have built a case against somebody and this case is so big and you know it's true? You know this case is true. And then you're like, well, but you turned your phone over. And then they turn the phone back and they're like, it was my insurance company saying the tow truck's on the way. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh, well, what about the other day when you got up and left early? You're like, check my map. I went hiking. But the brain, it's so afraid to repeat the past. Sorry, I keep leaning on my hair, you guys. It's so afraid that the past is going to come back, that you are in danger, that it's going to scan the environment for signs of that danger. Now, of course, this can happen also from not just experiences that we have had. It could have words people have spoken over us, that we suck, we're not enough, we're too much, we're not pretty enough, we weigh too much, we're not smart enough. I mean, I have seen some people say some things to people that are so heinous that I just cringe. Like, are you kidding me? A lot of times I see it in movies where they're depicting a bad parent or somebody, and I'm blown away because I know, I'm like, ooh, that's going to sink in to that person. That's going to be a brain groove in their head. It's going to start to program in, and then they're going to start acting from that place. So our job, beloveds, is to heal the unconscious mind and get into a state of freedom and unconditional love and understanding that the universe is here to deliver, period. The universe is here to deliver. The universe wants us to win. The universe, God, wants to give us everything. And this is actually written in the Bible. I read a quote one day from Jesus that said, it is our Father's good pleasure to give us his kingdom. Now, I'm just going to disclaim, I'm not a Bible person, and I don't believe God is a he. I believe God is androgynous. God is energy, okay? But this is a quote even from Jesus. It said from Jesus. And I actually, one of my very dear friends, Mojo, who you guys may have seen me on a live with Mojo and D. Grant, Mojo McCarthy and D. Grant. Mojo's Christian, and I ran that past him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's a da, da, da," and he told me all about it because he's also a reverend or a pastor or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, so he knows. So I always ask my Bible people because I think the Bible is beautiful. I just think many religions have misinterpreted it or used it for financial gain and for fear. But the Bible in itself, the stories of Jesus are beautiful. Jesus was a rock star love anarchist. You know, he went up against the establishment when they would literally kill you for the name of love, for the name of unconditional love, in the name of, I'm sorry, in the name of unconditional love, right? That's Jesus in himself is glorious. Wow, what a dude, right? Getting off track. So understanding that the universe wants us to win and wants us to have everything we want. When someone comes up to me or texts me or says in a conversation to me anything that has limiting words, I'm like, They're like, well, if my girlfriend recently visited and she said she's has a potential of this client that was going to yield her lots of money a month. And she goes, well, if I get, and I go, no, 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 not if, when. She's like, okay, when? I'm like, no, when? Because her iffy tells the universe if. Universe goes, your wish is my command. If. Okay? But when you say when I get that client, the universe goes, my wish, your wish is my command. And then it's a when it happens. See what I'm saying? But it's also about the energy that's attached to the words, because I don't want everybody to get all jacked up about your words, because I can say words that have like don't or never in it, but the energy of it is of faith and love. So there was this thing a long time ago that says don't ever say don't or never. I just want to say watch your vibe. What's the energy that you're actually coming at the situation from? What's the energy? That's what matters the most. How are you? What's the energy behind your words? Do you believe them? Again, this is going to go back to manifesting, because many times we don't believe it. We think we're lying. We think we're lying to ourselves. And it feels like a lie because we are trained to believe this grooved in programming over here is the truth, when really it's not the truth. Okay? That's grooved in fear-based programming. So when we can clear this up and move over here and start to change that programming that came into place based on our fearful part of our brain. That's how it's in there. There's no truth in it. So to someone say, I'm too old to find a soulmate, lie. Too old is something you picked up along the way from society or whatever. You've called it your truth. You've made it a belief, and now you're acting from that. No, there is nothing 99 years old, you could find your soulmate. Okay? Lived in poverty, you can become a billionaire. I say this with certainty. Okay? There's people out there who have absolutely skyrocketed their incomes that, for all practical purposes, the universe, or I'm sorry, the culture or people looking at them would be like, yeah, they're never going to make anything of themselves. They're from the wrong side of the tracks, who have done incredible things. And there's only one reason why, because they believe they could. So this is the stuff inside that is back here that's running the train. It's running our thoughts. Our thoughts turn into beliefs, and our actions back up our beliefs. So we're going to act from a level of our beliefs. This is me too, you guys. I don't have this locked and loaded. Okay. This is not in the bag for me. I'm still working on this stuff too because I'm a human being. I'm the walking wounded just as much. And there's beliefs that come up for me. In fact, I'm getting good at it. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm getting pretty good at it. And take my flip-flops off so I can sit on my legs. Okay. I'm sit crisscross applesauce. Okay. So, Lindsay, yeah, they believed they could, so they did. A freaking men. That's it. That's it right there. Doug, if you're listening in here, write the quote in chat. It's something like the Ford guy, the Ford Motors guy, I forgot his name. If you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. I mean, this is what I mean about the spiritual journey, you guys. It's not, these concepts are not hard to grasp. That's it right there in a nutshell. I have so many friends with the last name Ford, so all their names go Joe Ford, Ed Ford, Thomas Ford. All my Ford friends are going through my head. But whoever's the head guy of Ford Motors, he's the one who said that. And so that's what it is. You believe you can, you can. You believe you can't, you can't. But if you've got this stuff that's running your system back here, that is the stuff that's going to push your behaviors. That is the personality that creates your personal reality. Let me say that again. However your brain is wired is your personality. Okay? So you say, "Oh, yeah, that person is so negative. They're such a negative person." Or, "Oh, that person is so positive. I love being around them. They're so positive." Why are you positive all the time? They've wired themselves that way. Why is a person negative all the time? They've wired themselves that way. I am a generally very happy person, very joyful, and I love life and I love people and I love just stuff, right? I love the butterfly I'm watching outside my front window right here. And my default is happy. I can get upset with something. You guys, if you just watched my last video that I just made about struggling with boundaries, if you watch my last video, I talked about this. Like could not set a boundary until I was very, very angry. And then I would set that boundary. But then once I got back to happy, because I defaulted really easily back to happy because I like being like, that's just my natural way of being. Then I couldn't hold that boundary anymore because my default is happy. I don't want to go into that because really what I needed that anger to set the boundary, but then I couldn't hold the boundary when I wasn't angry anymore. Go watch the video. It's a whole different story, but I do talk about the brain in that. I talk about brain science. So the key is to uncovering the unconscious thoughts and beliefs that are keeping us stuck, that are keeping us in an aspect of our personality that is not yielding us the best results, that we're not enjoying. Okay, so what that means is making a list of the limiting and false beliefs in our heads. So I went through, and I'm not kidding you. I think this is a legal pad. I had a legal pad of paper, and one day, this is about 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm only saying that because time flies, and I know it was before COVID, and that's 3 years ago. Can you guys believe 2020 was 3 years ago? That blows my mind. So it was probably about 4 years ago. I sat down just really pissy and moany one day, and I was like, all right, you know that your limiting beliefs drive your train. What are you believing to be true? And I sat down and I wrote down, oh my gosh, you guys, I had front and back of one page and a whole other page. Can you believe the junk I had going on in here? I didn't have to think and sit and wait on it. It flew out of me in like 10 minutes. And I remember looking at that and I started laughing. I was like, oh my God, well, obviously, this is my problem. This is why I'm not getting headway in whatever experience that I wanted to get headway in, manifestation in, because I had this pile of limiting beliefs that were keeping me stuck. So guess what I did? One by one, I started working on them. I started turning them around and I brought them to the forefront. And as Dr. Joe says, you got to be so conscious of those MFers. He doesn't say MFers. I do. You got to be so conscious of them that they do not slip past your awareness again. So when those things came in and I felt that little, I call it a niggle. That's just the word. It's like a little niggle. When I felt a little niggle of fear or holdback or nervousness or whatever it might be, whatever the feeling would be, self-doubt, that's another one. I would sit myself down. I'd say, what are you thinking right now, Kristen? What are you thinking? Oh, that's what I'm thinking. You're not good enough. People don't like this, so-and-so that. I can't remember. Name it. And then I would take that thing, and this is what works, you guys. This is why manifestations take so long, because we haven't cleared the block. I call the block a lead umbrella. So let's say that the universe is above us, heaven and all that stuff. The block is like we're standing there holding a lead umbrella going, I really want the career. I really want the health. I really want the new car. I really want the boyfriend, girlfriend, awesome relationship. But we're standing there with the lead umbrella because somewhere inside of our psyche, we really, truly don't believe we can have it for whatever reason. Okay. So we're standing there with this lead umbrella and going, well, it's been 3 years. It's not happening. And then that starts to solidify that it can't happen for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Y'all following me? Write in comments, please. Say, gotcha, Kristen. Give me a thumbs up, just anything. Let me know that you're following me. So now it's not happening even more. And we're like, well, it's been 3 years. I still haven't gotten the career, the money, the car, the boyfriend, the health, whatever it might be. It can't happen to me. Then we start to think we're destined. Well, I just might be. I'm just destined. It's not in the cards for me. I've heard this. You guys have heard it all. No. What kind of shit do you got going on in here, brother, sister? What's in the noggy? What's happening up here? Because that's what's causing it. So when we can clear that block and we replace it with something true, then we can actually feel it in our spirit. We can feel it in our heart. Dr. Joe Dispenza, for people who don't know him, says the heart, when we are in heart coherence, which means we are in a space of gratitude and love, the highest vibrational frequencies, period. Gratitude and love. When we are in a space of gratitude and love, this has all been mapped and measured, you all, because they've got all these devices and things that they do. That resonates out 3 feet, 3 yards, I don't remember, an energetic field which attracts stuff to us. Because everything that we desire is in the field. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Everything we desire is in the field. So once we get ourselves into that alignment, it'll come to us. Okay, I got a note. TFB. The more that I'm noticing the negative thoughts, the more I try to stay aware. You are on track, TFB. That's it right there. Hitting it on the nose. And I try to say to myself that I wouldn't want my daughter to believe that about herself. That makes me cry. You guys know I'm a sap on these lives. I'm always crying, tearing up. I feel that. I feel that intensely. And that's one of the lessons that I teach. If it's not good enough for your loved one, it ain't good enough for you. Period. That is the reparenting that we do on our journey. Thank you for sharing that, TFB. That feels good. That feels really good. This is the reparenting journey. I take care of you guys. I don't know who's listened to what on this channel, so sometimes I repeat. That's just part of the story. You're welcome, sweetheart. You are welcome. I'm very, very hypervigilant about little Kristen, the little me inside that took in all these messages. Very hypervigilant. Same way I am. You heard in the beginning of this broadcast the way I am about my kids. If you guys didn't hear that part, it's worth re-listening to because this is going to tie into this. Because I had a message from Spirit about my kids because they were so much my priority. And hey, little Iodine. So where was I going with that? So I got hypervigilant about the small child within me. I literally started to look at her separate from me, even though she's not. And I started to say, I have now adopted you, Kristen Brown. Kristen Gone, which was my maiden name. I've now adopted you. You're mine. And you are going to be treated the way I treat little people and animals and elderly. I got your back. No one is ever going to treat you crappy again. When you make that declaration to yourself, I cannot stress this enough. If you make any declaration to yourself, that's the declaration you want to make. Because little you needs you. And I'm not dissing parents. I'm not dissing anything because sometimes, you guys, it's not our parents. Sometimes it's society. Sometimes it's the school teacher. Sometimes it's the neighbor kid. Sometimes it's us comparing ourselves to magazine covers. It's not always the parents that jack up our thinking. It can be. We can have some pretty crappy parents. Or we get some pretty great parents and there's still stuff. I told my mom when she died, she's going to sit on God's right shoulder. That's how amazing my mother was. And there was still stuff. Okay? There's stuff. We got to just be open to the stuff. Not worrying really where the stuff came from, but knowing that we have to work on and heal this stuff. Because, beloveds, it's the lead umbrella. It's the lead umbrella. I say this with 100% certainty. You can have anything you want. Now, I always disclaim within reason what I mean. 5'2", 50-something-year-old woman can't go be an NBA basketball player. Get what I'm saying? But I don't want to be that. I don't want to have that experience. Any experience that you want to have, here's another one. Ready? Sit your butts down. This is a biggie. Was put in your heart by universe, God, source. The quantum field. Because you are the quantum field. You are God. You are energy. So we think, oh, I got this dream. It's so far away. I can't have it. No, I can't have this dream. Like only certain people can have this dream. That's not what happens. No, the dream went in here and in here through the God. And God doesn't go, oh, here. Because remember, unconditional love, no judgment, no favorites, no nothing, right? God doesn't go, oh, here, have this dream. But, you can't really have it, though. But here. It doesn't work that way. God goes, your creative mind. Oh, which reminds me, I had notes, and I want to talk about the creative mind. Your creative mind came up with that for you because it is perfectly in alignment with you, with your soul and your DNA and who you are. Okay? This is why someone says, I want 80 acres, I want 50 heads of cattle and 25 chickens. My dream. Is that everybody's dream? But they can feel it. They go to bed sleeping on it at night. This is why the lawyer, Robin Sharma. Do you guys know who Robin Sharma is? Write down here in comments if you've heard of Robin Sharma. Cool dude. He wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Robin Sharma was, don't quote me, I read his book a long time ago, was an attorney, like I think in New York, like somewhere East Coast, like big bad attorney. And he decided that he wanted to be an author and mentor and coach and things like that. Something like that. I'm getting it wrong. So The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. He had so much of this stuff going on in his heart, his dream, that he got rid of all of this stuff. The lawyer, the money, the stuff to embark on a career of being an author and whatnot. Okay? That was his dream. Our dreams are sole and separate to us. And by the way, if you don't have people around you that can't hold your dream for you, don't tell them. I'm going to be bold. I don't run around talking about my dreams to the world. I don't run around to every old person and say, this is my dream. Now, if you can hold that space for yourself and not let the, okay, you sure you want to do that? I would never want to do that. If that can't affect you, if you can hold that space for yourself, then by all means, spout it out, shout it from the rooftops. The more you believe, and the better it's going to come to you, the faster it's going to come to you. But if you've got a dream and you got somebody that's going to poo-poo on it, that dream's not for their ears. Save that for the people who can hold space for you. Which, by the way, I'm going to be starting. It's in the works because I got a lot of work. I really need a virtual assistant. I'm going to be starting what I'm going to call KB's Self-Healing Circle. I've already made the logo. I'm working on the landing page where this is going to be a monthly. I don't know if it's going to be weekly or bi-weekly yet, but it's going to be a group of seekers, people like you that are on the self-healing journey where we could get together. It's going to be a private, exclusive group that's going to have the mum's the word, what stays in self-healing circle, what's said in self-healing circle stays in self-healing circle type thing. We're going to have our little secret society where we talk about the hard things. Okay. We talk about the stuff we're working on. Let me tell you, if you guys haven't been in a group like this yet, these type of groups will change your life because it is a vibration and energy that keeps moving. It keeps moving. It keeps moving, and it keeps you in that energy. So rather being this sole little person over here, trying to stay in your energy all the time, it's hard. When you get into a group like that, it stays with you. And then you form friendships with people and you make, back channel friendships with people. Mind blowing. But I wanted to talk about the creative brain. Backing up way in the beginning, again, go back and watch this because there's so much information here. And I want you guys to ask questions up the ying if you've got them, because you got me. This is it. Free coaching right now. This is it. Free mentoring. Back when I was talking about the brainwave states, when we're in our thinking, problem solving, paying the bills, all that type of things, traffic, getting to a place on time, fearing that you have to go to this function. You don't want to be in that function. Oh, I saw someone give me a thumbs up. I would love if all of you tapped thumbs up. That gives it helps the algorithms and other people see my stuff. I really appreciate that. We're in beta. Okay. We're in the beta brainwave state. If we're in a state of stress, we're in high beta. Guess who's in a state of stress a lot of times? A lot of people. Now, they don't look like it. They're functioning. Have you ever heard that thing? People with anxiety look like this. Because they know how to do it. They know how to be in the world with this fully crazy nervous system going on. The nervous system wreaking havoc all over their life, but they don't look like it. I'll tell you, I've got some loved ones that had so much anxiety. I didn't know it, but they kept saying anxiety. I'm like, this person have anxiety. And then, but it started showing up in their behaviors because they looked like that all the time. So, the amount of stress that is walking around in the world, those people are in high beta. Guess what happens when we're in high beta? The creative center of our mind is cut off. Why? And this is all biological. I don't make this up, okay? Because the body, because you're solving a problem, you're in stress, you're in fear, okay, all that's happening. Remember, going back to reptilian, the body is getting ready to fight or flight or freeze. It's so much is happening. What happens is, quite literally, the blood goes to our limbs, rushes to our limbs to get us prepared to run. That's what the body is doing in a state of stress. The body is not working in homeostasis to handle the things that it needs to handle. And this is why high states of stress and emotional unhealing create disease in the body. Is all this making sense? If this is the first time you guys are hearing about this type of thing, please ask me questions and comments. Okay, I'm right here with you, real time, live. I think there's always a delay, so it might take a second for it to pop up. Okay, so we cannot be in our creative center when we're in that state because we are in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. And Dr. Joe also says hide. Fight, flight, freeze, or hide. Because a lot of people will just hide. If they're in a fearful state, they stay holed up in their house, they isolate, they don't see a lot of people, they do all these type of things. And it's true. I know people like that they isolate and they're like, no, I'm fine. I just like being alone. I know it's not true because I can feel their energy and I know their personality and I know what they're doing. Okay. Let me bookmark my thought because I saw a message come in, but if I read it before bookmarking my thought, I'm going to forget it. We're going into the creative. Okay. I have written all my songs. In between jobs, I've experienced everything you are saying. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Are you a writer, Little Iodine? Are you a singer-songwriter? Okay, so this is why it's important to bring the brainwave states down. This is why we move from high beta, because guess what? We can solve all of our problems. I did not know that a lot. I had no idea. That's beautiful. I had no idea, Little Iodine, that you are a musician and a writer, apparently. Wow. Wow. That's really cool. And what she's saying is that that's when the creative came for her, which is I'm going to go into right now. This is so important, you guys. This is so important for manifesting. Okay. So let me get back to where I was at. All right. So we got to bring the brainwave states down. By the way, we do not have to function from a state of stress to get things done. We don't have to. I hate that state. I do not like that state. I choose to not be stressed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've started this a long time ago. I remember in my 20s rushing somewhere and then only to get stopped at the stoplight. And then all the cars that I passed caught up with me. So I started to pay attention to this. I'm like, I'm rushing, like I'm going to get somewhere. And then I started watching people that did that to me. And then they're at the stoplight and I'm catching up to them. I'm like, it's not doing us any good. It's not doing us any good at all. Then I realized if I was in a state of stress that I also didn't like my personality. I would raise my voice to my kids. I would be an asshole. I don't know what I would do. And I was like, okay, this doesn't work either. I don't like that either. So I realized once I calmed my nervous system, all the same things were still happening, but the creativeness could flow through me to handle them differently. Isn't that brilliant? Think about this. Think about this really hard. That's when the creativeness comes through us. When we get out of the high beta into the alpha, creative juices flow. This is a flow state. Okay. This is when we're functioning like writing my book. This is a great example. When I was writing The Recovering People Pleaser, actually, even the first one, From Doormat to Sweet Empowerment, I would get into these states where the words were just flying out of me. And it was a flow state. I was creating. You hear people say, oh, this book was channeled. This book was channeled. People act like channeling is, it's only them. No, my friends, we all channel. We all channel all the time. Have you ever, maybe you're a cook. And while you're cooking, you're in this really good state. You got some nice music on and you're cooking. And all of a sudden your brain goes, why don't you try some cinnamon? And you're like, maybe I'll try some cinnamon. That's channeling. That's spirit working with you. That's universe. That's what the creative brain is. So let's talk about left brain, right brain for a minute. Left brain, thinking, analyzing, all those things. Right brain, creative, receiving, all those things. Also, the yin and the yang, and the masculine and the feminine, which is why we all have the masculine and the feminine aspects of ourselves. Okay. People are like, you're too much in your masculine. Okay. That doesn't mean, woman, that you're some brawny looking chick. That's not what that means. It means you're too much in your control. You're too much in your fight. You're too much in all the things that are of the masculine. Get more into your feminine, which means get into your creativeness, get into your receiving. Okay? So it's this balance, it's this homeostasis. I talk about this in my book, The Recovering People Pleaser. This book is going to blow your mind if you have not purchased it yet, because it goes into all of this stuff that I'm talking about. These are just the lectures that really, what's the word I'm looking for? Magnify the things I'm talking about, which is why we're doing the self-healing circle, because it's based on the concept of the recovering people pleaser and all these things that I'm talking about right now. This is what's going to be in this group, but we get one-on-ones. We're all going to Zoom together. We're going to Zoom. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk, and we're going to talk this stuff through, and you learn from each other. It's fascinating. Again, I'm not that creator and coach that has all these things in the bag and doing it. I do things through inspiration. Right now, the logo's made. I'm writing the copy for that. I don't know when this is going to be live. But the best thing you can do is jump over to my website, sign up for my newsletter, get the self-love quiz, or do the self-love quiz if you haven't done that yet. It's a great quiz. Everybody that's taken it has been dead on with where they're at on the self-love journey. And that'll sign you up for my newsletter. Okay? All right. So we want to get into that creative aspect of our brain, because that's in our flow state. That's when new information comes in. And I'm going to relate this to manifesting now. This is where we follow the yellow brick road to manifesting. Stay with me. This has been one hell of a lecture. I'm just going to say, I would love to have heard this lecture. I'm going to pat myself on the back, toot my own horn, because the stuff I'm delivering that's flowing through me is, I'm not even pat my back. I'm going to pat God's back, because this is flow state. In order to get to destination that we want, dream, desire, in order to get to destination, the personality that we're in, especially when we're in the high beta and we're in the fear, we're stuck. Same thinking. And like they say, you can't solve a problem from the same level of thinking that created the problem. Another brilliant, those like teeny tiny little sentences that are just freaking mind blowing. We have to be willing to get into that flow state, that alpha and or theta, because you can do it in theta too. Get into that flow state, but more the alpha, so that you're conscious when this stuff comes in. And when it comes in, and you can feel it, because it's going to have a resonance of inspiration attached to it. Let me check my time, because I do have a client. Okay, we're good. It's going to have a resonance of inspiration attached to it. It's going to feel light in the heart. Okay, it's going to feel light. All right. Follow inspiration like the freaking yellow brick road. Do you remember that? Was it the Good Witch? Glenda said you already had everything you needed inside of you to get home to Dorothy. Okay. She was following the yellow brick road that led to the wizard, and the wizard was just this thing behind a screen. He really wasn't the all and powerful. She was. And all she had to do was click her heels and get herself home. Get what I'm saying? It is through following one creative step after another that is going to lead you to your dream. Oh, my hand looks weird. It looks so big because it's close. It looks close. I won't do that anymore, you guys. That was a weird visual. Children's stories, poems, and songs. Oh, that's amazing. I'm patting your back with a big hug. Can you feel it? I could feel something. Okay. So let me take some more tea real quick here, y'all. Really quickly, I want to ask you guys, is this lighting okay if I made videos in here? I'm getting really tired of sitting at my desk, and I'm trying to have different stuff. I know you still get the glare on my glasses. I don't think that's ever going to go away. But if any of you in here could please comment and say, is this good lighting? Like, can you see me good enough? Or should I make more lighting? Do you like this setup? I don't get my feelings hurt. You can say no. If you prefer me sitting at my desk with the light sources that I have, I'm cool with that. But I would love if somebody would let me know, because this is an option. Because I like sitting in the big chair situation, holding my microphone rather than sitting at my desk. TFB, I like it. Thank you. Lighting is great to me. Really, you guys? All right. I'm a stickler for lighting. I used to be a photographer. So thanks, guys. All right. So continuing to move forward, the creative. I just want you to know that if you're in high beta stress, whatever, the number one step to manifesting is lowering that nervous system. Okay. Not only manifesting, but healing the unconscious mind that's keeping you stuck. We got to get out of fight, fight, freeze. Okay. A lot of times we don't even know we're on it because we don't really feel like we're fighting. We don't really feel like we're running. We don't really feel like we're freezing. Okay. But it can show up in our ways in different ways, like, binge watching TV, drinking a lot, um, running from bar to bar to bar, trying to find your soulmate. It can be all types of ways because you're in that fear state of whatever reason. So, let's take manifesting an ideal partner just as an example. Let's say you want to manifest an ideal partner and you're in, your high beta all the time and you can't get into your creative. Well, you calming down your nervous system, all of a sudden this little message comes in and it says, or somebody says to you, do you want to go to the Skeptical Chemist on Thursday to watch this live music? And there's this part of you that goes, yeah, go. Okay. Real quick, soft. And you're like, follow that. But then your little ego comes in and goes, no, you don't want to meet anybody in a bar. You don't, all the negative stuff that goes on. But this part of you said, go do that. Go there. Or something rises up inside of you and says, go to that festival, that Greek festival. Go to the Greek festival. You go to the Greek festival, but you don't meet a guy. You run into your old friend from high school and you exchange numbers. And 2 months later, she invites you to a barbecue. And then you meet a friend and you join her book club. And then in her book club is her brother, and her brother's your soulmate. You guys see what I'm saying? We try to control the fa out of life. We think we can plan it. We think we know the how. Oh, it's not going to happen that way. Oh, it's not going to happen that way. I met Doug. I knew Doug in high school. We didn't talk much, but I knew him. He freaking friended me on Facebook because I'm not a drinker and I didn't want to go to bars. And I was like, God, I don't know how you're going to bring this person to me, but I'm open. I'm open. He friended me on Facebook. That's it. He had like 40 followers. He still isn't a Facebook guy. Okay. How that happened? It happened. So this is what I'm saying. I could tell you story upon story, and I do have them all over my channel about how I've manifested certain things. But it's following the inspiration one step at a time without attachment to the results. Hands down, one of the most important things I can tell you. Without attachment to the results. What feels good? Next. Do you know that I went on my walk this morning? I woke up kind of early. I'm in Arizona. It can be, this is a beautiful July, by the way, you guys. The humidity usually comes by July. There's no humidity. And I woke up this morning and it can be like 95 by 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in some summers. And it said 80. I was like, I'm going for a walk. I threw my shoes on and I went for a walk. And I was sweaty and gross. And I come back here and I said, I really want to go on a live. I feel like living today. And I know I have a client shortly. And I was like, I wanted to set up in here. And it seemed like a lot. It just is like, ugh. I got to go like take my hat off, fluff up my hat head because, sweaty and the whole thing. And I was like, one step at a time. Does this feel good to me? What feels good next? I always have lots of projects I can work on. I have a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts with my business. And I was like, nope, This is what I want to do. I don't know why. I don't know what this live's going to yield me, but this feels good. This feels good right now. Sometimes it's go to bed at 8 o'clock. Do you know the other night I slept on the couch in that room? You can't see it. Why? Because it felt good. I was watching a movie. I was like, it feels good to lay here. I turned down the lights, turned up the AC, and I slept on the couch. I got an amazing bed, brand new bed. I slept on the couch because it felt good, because I felt like I wanted to do it. Okay, so my point is, seems cheerful to me with the light colored brick behind you, lots of light. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that, little iodine. There's my kitchen back there. So, I don't know if that's distracting or not. But anywho, I'm just trying out new things because I get a little bored and stagnant. I love my office. You guys know I redid my office. You can see the new background. Finally, again, inspiration. Let me talk about that real briefly because I had no ideas of redoing my office. Didn't even occur to me, think about it, nothing. And one day I'm sitting at my desk and I rotated in my chair a little bit and I was just thinking, again, probably an alpha. And a voice came in and said, redo your office, redecorate your office. And I turned around and I looked at my office and it just felt good. Yeah, redecorate. Well, what do I want to do? And I just let my brain kind of go with it. I just went. Do you know you can't see the bookshelf I got because of the way my office is situated? I got this most gorgeous bookshelf. And maybe I'll post it in the community just so you guys can see what it actually no. It is on you have a picture of it. On my lives tab on my channel, my lives tab, my favorite books, the picture of that thumbnail is my bookshelf. So you can see my bookshelf. Okay. But that's a brand new bookshelf. I had some plain black IKEA bookshelf that just had all the books on there. And I walked into a place, I don't know why, and I just said, "You know what?" I said to my daughter, "I'm going to go there." We walked around the store. I walked right to it and I just said, "That's it. That's it." My husband has to take forever to make decisions on things. I make them really fast. You know why? Because I make them with my body. If it feels right, it is right. And I don't have regrets. I don't have regrets because he's always like, "Well, do you have regrets?" I'm like, I never have regrets because I make decisions with my body, with my spirit, with my heart. If it feels good, it is good. But I will sit, you guys, I will tell you, I will sit and I do this thing where I kind of stare and I just feel for a second. I just feel. I'm like, that's it. And we went home and got my husband. I said, "This is what I want." We went back and we got this bookshelf. I love it. No regrets. It's light. It's airy. Check it out when you hang up from here. And anyway, moving forward. So I invite you, I encourage you, I recommend that the first step always on the healing journey is to calm the nervous system. I cannot make that enough, which i.e. is meditation. Okay. But and I wrote that down here. That was one of my notes too. Oh, before I go back, I wrote here receiving manifestation, okay, which is under the creative. So I'm going to go back just for a second to that. I want to reiterate that each little baby step in the right direction is going to lead you to your dream. It's not if you lose weight. It's not if you make a lot of money. It's not if you talk to the right person. It's not if you have the perfect thumbnail. It's not any of these things. It's being you, authentic you. You know what you hear all the time from influencers now? Oh, the 5 traits that great influencers have. One of the traits always is authenticity. They're not trying to be anybody that they're not. Look at Selena Spooky Boo. Do you guys know who she is? Look at Call Me Chris. Both of them, darling. Okay. Those two are them, 100%. Selena Spooky Boo got famous on TikTok because she posted her sleepwalking videos because she's a huge sleepwalker. Now she's got this whole YouTube channel. She's got all these things. You know what I'm saying? She's her. She's glorious. Call Me Chris was a hairdresser that during COVID was bored and was going to go crazy and started making funny videos, posted them on TikTok. She has 60 million followers after all of her on all of her platforms. She's just being Chris. Okay? Authenticity is going to lead you to your dream. Whether it's a career, whether it's manifesting a soulmate. You do not need to be anything other than who you are. Period. Again, another reminder that I have in my phone. Okay. The third one hasn't come up yet. Oh, yeah, it has. Okay. See at the bottom one? Speak from your heart. Just be you. I walk my talk, y'all. I'm not kidding. This is the stuff that works in anything. And these are universal truths. These are things that hold true. So, what my point is, be who you are. Okay. Follow the inspiration. Get really in touch with what it feels like. If it feels good, if there's a lightness and an airiness in your heart, follow that. Even if you're like, why am I feeling driven to go hiking today? I don't hike, but God, that sounds really good. Like in my spirit to go hiking. Follow that. It's for a reason. It's your yellow brick road. Mike Dooley, massive, massive manifesting coach. Notes from the universe guy. Okay. Do you know who he is? He was also in The Secret. He says, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Okay. Putting aside that now. Okay. We're done with that. We're going to go into the meditation, the creative, and we're changing the brain waves. When we meditate, we are creating gaps in our thinking, our overthinking brain. Okay. Because before meditation, when we're in high beta, we're just all day long. And guess what? The same thoughts, 90% of the thoughts we think are repeated every day. 90%. Okay? Because we're programmed. So we're going to think the same things over and over again. He said, Dr. Joe said the 10% that we're not thinking every day is like choosing what to eat today, or what to wear today, which direction to drive to work today. Those are the thoughts we didn't think from yesterday. In order to have a new experience of life, we need to think new thoughts. When we create space in our brain through meditation, what that does is it creates gaps between the thoughts. It slows everything down. And in slowing everything down, we can hear spirit. We can be guided. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm talking a lot. My throat's getting dry. Okay. We can be guided. That's why we love you. We trust now that you are you. Oh, yeah, I am. I've been called real since I was in high school, and I didn't even know what it meant. People are like, you're so real. Like, what does that mean? I'm just going to tell you, it's my girlfriend here with the other day. She was like, I don't like farts. She said, I don't like farts and burps. She said, I don't like when people fart and burp. And I'm like, okay, that's like all day long, every day in our house. So, and she loves me and we love each other dearly. So she just laughed because she kind of gave me that look because she really doesn't like him. But I'm like, yeah, you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay. And then she got home because she was visiting and she got back to her home state and she sent me a fart meme. Okay. Because this is how we roll here. Anywho, so when we create gaps in the thinking, that's when the universe can come in. That's when God, source, whatever you want to call it, guidance, angels, everybody has names for things. Okay. Dr. Joe says, yeah, I don't know about angels and all those things. All I know is that there is this divinity within us. Ooh, that leads me to go back to that story real quick about my going into unconditional love state, my meditation. I thought something had moved me. He said, when he answered my question, he said, he goes, whether or not something moved you or that was your own consciousness doing that. Okay. Another mind blowing, because it's like, okay, if we are God, if we are consciousness, there is not something outside of me doing that. That's actually my own godness, I don't know what to call it, that did it for me. My higher consciousness did that for me, made that movement. Isn't that crazy? I'm telling you, this stuff fascinates the crap out of me. Okay. So with that being said, this is why we do meditation. Little iodine. If people did not fart and burp, I would get them to the doctor for the digestive system. Absolutely. I heard somebody say one time that one of the Kardashians said that she did not, I think she said she didn't fart or something or poop. And I was like, come on, they really didn't say that. And the person's like, no, hand to God, I saw it. I'm like, maybe she's kidding. They're like, no, she said that. I'm like, okay. People, we're human. We do human things, and it's okay. And anytime you're in my presence, you can do anything human that you want to do, just so you know. All right. So moving forward into the last section, which is meditation. All right. I highly recommend, I highly recommend, I highly recommend, I can't say this enough, that you start a meditation practice. All right. And meditation isn't, okay. In fact, the Eastern, what do I want to look for? Gurus, for lack of a better word, the Eastern gurus say that the Western society has meditation all wrong. Okay. Meditation, really, I think the word means is just focused intention. That's really all it means. We make it so hard. I got to clear my mind. Okay. Good luck, because your brain is always going, always going. So it's not that we can clear our mind, it's that we have to get, what we're doing is looking to get into a different brainwave state where creativity can flow. Okay. I've mentioned this before. I'll say it again. On when I didn't have time to meditate in the morning and I was in that high beta stress state, I was going to work one day. On the drive to work, I took back roads, instead of main roads with lights and stuff. I took neighborhood roads and I looked at every tree. Oh, there's a pretty tree. Oh, I wouldn't let myself think. I wouldn't let myself, what was causing the stress inside of me, I wouldn't let myself think it. So I'm like, there's a pretty tree. Oh, no. Oh, I love that tree. Wow, that's a big cactus. Oh my gosh, look at the flowers on that one. You see what I'm saying? I just focused intention. What did I do? I focused on trees. That's meditative. When I got to work, my stress was gone. I'm not kidding you. It was a 15-minute drive to work, and I was like, wow, I'm not stressed at all anymore, because what was causing me, the thoughts that were causing the emotions were gone. I deviated and I went somewhere else. A lot of times we feel like we need to obsess on certain things in order to solve certain things. It's in the obsession that we're perpetuating the problem, because guess what we're doing? We're thinking the same things over and over again, which is causing the same chemical release in our brain, which is an emotion, which causes more of the same chemical thought, blah, 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 and we're buffering in this crappy zone because we're obsessing over an issue. The best thing that I've done, you can take it or leave it, is when there's a problem, I recognize that there's a problem and I sit back. Not, of course, if it's an emergency. I'm really great in emergencies, but I'm just saying, I just sit back and I'm like, all right, let's see what can be done here. Let's be open to creative possibilities. And always some amazing creative possibility comes. I remember back in my 20s dating my first husband. We might have been married, I don't know. So it was anywhere between 21 and 23, somewhere in there. May have been married, could have been 24, young. And we're four-wheeling. It had rained rained here in Phoenix, and a lot of desert around us. There's a lot of mud. We went four-wheeling in the mud. And one of the guys' Jeeps got stuck. And they're trying, all these guys out there, trying to get the Jeep unstuck. Hold on, I'm going to clear my throat. They're trying to get the Jeep unstuck. And I straight up said to him, because I'm in that state, I go, break off some branches from a creosote bush and shove them under there. Oh no, they're trying this and they're trying that. Who am I? I'm just some girl. And they're doing this, they're doing the other, doing the other, doing the other. Grab some limbs off this bush and shove it under there. Nothing. I don't know, I must have said it 5 or 6 times. Nobody's listening to me. Do you know an hour and a half of these men trying to do this thing, someone goes, "Why don't we just grab the limbs off the bush and shove them under there?" Boop, boop, pull the Jeep right out. I was in that space, and that just popped in my head, but no one listened, okay? And I'm not in charge, it's not my Jeep, but then that was the very thing that did it. We don't have to stress when these things happen. In fact, it's the worst thing that we can do. When we can calm ourselves and sit back and say, let's reconfigure as best as we possibly can. Let's take a breath. That's why you always have people going, breathe, breathe. Dr. Joe said this also. He said, breath is it connects the heart, the brain, and the heart. Because he talks about heart brain coherence, heart brain coherence, heart brain coherence. What is that? That's when creativeness comes into the brain and we feel it in our heart. And that's what tells us is our next best step. I know. It's fascinating and wonderful and beautiful. So with that, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I said unconditional love, 99% reality, manifesting, and the mystical experiences. Let me just end on that note. Mystical experiences are experiences that are solely designed for you. Okay? People aren't going to understand your mystical experience because likely they've not had one. Or if someone's had a mystical experience, they may not have had the exact same. Hold on, my hips hurting. Put my leg up. Okay. They've not had the exact same mystical experience that you've had. They might have had a mystical experience where they're like, oh, well, I had this weird thing happen. But likely for a lot of people walking around through life in high beta or not even meditating or caring to meditate or just not even in this genre of thinking or being or seeking, they may not have had these type of experiences. But trust your mystical experience. I've had other ones too. I've had some crazy mystical experiences. They were far between, okay? They're getting closer now that I meditate more consistently, but I had them, all throughout my life. They're for you. You don't need to convince anybody that it's true. You don't need to convince anybody that it happened. And don't second guess it. Okay? Because your heart already knows. And if your heart knows that this thing is true, believe it. Because it is true. And that is you being, they say connection with God, but we're really our God. Connection's just, a really good human word to say because we're connected to God, but really we are God. Okay. So it's really you removing the blocks to what's already present. That's what meditation's going to do for you. So let me just give you a couple more examples on that real quick, and then I'll be done. So there's things like driving meditation. There's walking meditation. All right. Where are my feet? What does it sound like on the ground? What am I hearing outside? Get in touch with your senses. I'm just going to smell. I'm going to smell for 60 seconds. Just as you're walking, what am I smelling? I'm smelling that plant. I'm smelling that car exhaust. I'm smelling whatever. Okay. What am I hearing? What am I seeing? What's my favorite color? I know this sounds like this is meditation, Kristen. Yes. It's not as complicated as we make it out to be. Now, can it be in this position, oming, reciting mantras and whatnot? Absolutely, it can be that. 100%. Can it just be breathing? Yes. I've forgotten about my breathing practices lately. That's what I'm doing. I'm like 4 in, 4 out, 4 in, hold, 4 out. Just taking some time to breathe because it connects the brain to the heart. Okay. What else? Binaural beats, you guys. I am like, if I could be an affiliate of binaural beats, because I love binaural beats. So what are they? This is you can search them on YouTube. You can also they're in song lists on Pandora, things like that. I type in binaural beats and then something like 432 hertz or megahertz or whatever it is. And I like the YouTube ones because they're typically like 3 or 4 hours long, so there's not breaks and commercials and things inside of them. I'll put them on my headphones. I lay on the ground in my office with just a small pillow. I make sure there's no ponytail, nothing constricting on me, and I lay there and all I do is imagine. This is one of my best meditations, by the way. This gets me really it puts me in theta, and I'm getting pretty good at it. It's going my body's getting used to it, so I'm going fairly quickly now into theta. Where before, that's the other thing. The first time around, I couldn't calm my brain for 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds more or you have 8 seconds more than you did yesterday. It all matters. Okay? One drop of water, you start to fill a cup. Okay? It all matters. So don't beat yourself up or get all jacked up because you weren't able to sustain some focus for some period of time. Because sometimes, if we are in high beta and we're used to being in high beta, trust me, I've been there myself. It took a minute for me to be able to. Sometimes I couldn't even successfully get through 30 minutes. Like, God, I spent the majority of that time thinking. It's okay, but was I in a quieter state while I was thinking? Was my heart not pounding while I was thinking? Was there any improvement? Okay? Be gentle with yourself. Grace and forgiveness. I talk about it all the time here. Grace and forgiveness. That is self love, right? People are like, oh, I love myself. I took a bath. No, that's self care. Self love, grace, and forgiveness constantly of self. Okay? You're fallible. You're going to make mistakes. Compassion, I'm fallible. We are fallible. Compassion and acceptance of self. You're divinely made, exactly who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be anybody else, period. You, 100% you. Accept who you are and have compassion for where you're at on your journey. Be gentle with you. For God's sakes, you're so beautiful. You're so amazing. You're the sweetest thing ever and creative AF. Okay? Be gentle, gentle, gentle. I don't care what anybody else said. Fuck them. Fuck them all. I don't care what anybody else said. You are amazing. All right. Respect and protect. Who's got your back, bro? You got to have your back. I waited for people to have my back. They never did. When I started respecting and protecting me, that's when my vibration changed. That's when I stopped attracting a-holes. That's when I stopped attracting toxic people because it was first of all, my energy was like repelled them like, I don't know, like bear spray. I don't know. People walk up to me and if they were like, yeah, my light was repelling as hell. My strength was repelling as hell to a toxic person. Okay. But before, when I was my little people pleaser and, oh, yeah, you can be a jerk. When I was doing all that crap, not literally, it didn't look like that. That's my personification of it. I was attracting jerks like crazy. I don't attract them anymore. They can't stand in the light. They can't stand in it because they just can't. Okay. Respect and protect. Okay. Protect your energy, protect your vibe, protect your mind, body, and spirit at all times. The next self love tenet, positive and supportive, loving self talk, right? Retrain yourself. Catch those limiting beliefs, that stuff you are saying to yourself that's back here, that's unconscious, that's running the show. Okay. It's back here running the show. And you don't even know it's running the show because you're just being this autopilot, automaton going through life, functioning the same way you always have. All right. Bring that stuff up, reparent yourself, turn that stuff around. Let me come in your head about telling you how amazing you are. Don't let an unconscious, crappy thought go past your awareness. Never again. Okay. And the last one is self care. How do you eat? How do you sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you hanging around with good high vibrational people? Are you reading good literature? Are you watching things that don't activate your nervous system right before bed? Are you comparing yourself to other people? Self-care, 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 self-care. All the things about caring about yourself. 5 self-love tenets. I outline them really deep and involved in my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, a spiritual guide to reclaiming your true worth and your true worth a spiritual guide to reclaim your true worth and attract the love you deserve. Okay, we all deserve this amazing experience here on planet Earth. It's the purpose we were here. Okay, all we need to do is remember who we are. And that requires us healing the limited and unconscious false beliefs that are driving the train back here, okay? Having us show up in life in such a way that is not serving to us. Once you become conscious of that stuff, that's the last thing I want to say is that in meditation, oh, this is so good. This is so good. Hold on, I got an itch. In meditation, when I realize I have a belief that I need to work on, and it's a tough one, like I'm like, damn, this bugger's been here for a long time. In meditation, I know what I don't want to be anymore. I don't want to be a person who believes this about myself anymore. In my meditation, I will go into that meditation and I will get myself into the state of believing I am the way that is going to serve me. Okay. What does it feel like? Let me come up with an example. Let's say I'm someone who's been doubting myself a lot. Okay. It's keeping me stuck and small and doing this. In my meditation, get myself first into that very calm space. And then I say, what does it feel like to not have self doubt? What does it feel like to be confident? What does it feel like? And I get myself into that feeling state. Remember, the feelings of the heart resonate out in this energetic field, 3 feet to 3 yards, don't remember, from the body. And that pulls in from the quantum field. Feelings first, manifestation second, period. Sorry, I bumped the microphone. Feelings first, manifestation second. Second out of body experience here, first at 6. Oh, I want to hear about that. Second at 41. See, that's a mystical experience. Little iodine, if there's not a delay here, because I do need to go, I got a client soon. Did you look down at yourself in your out of body experience? Was it that sleep paralysis thing? Or was it near death? Like, how did that happen for you? If you're still in the room, if you wouldn't mind writing that in real quick, because I'm very curious about that. But this is the stuff I'm talking about. It's a mystical freaking experience right there. Okay. Little iodine had a mystical experience. And I'm sure it's kind of like, at 6, especially, she was, well, maybe at 6, you're more open to that stuff. And maybe she didn't question it. I don't know. I'm speaking for her. And maybe at 41, she didn't either because she already had the one at 6. See what I'm saying? Open yourself to the magic and miracles of the universe. It's there for you. It's not just for 5 people or 1 billion. It's for every single person who has ever walked this earth before, who is here now, who is going to walk this earth after us. Any spirit of God looked down being molested. Oh, you did leave your body. That was your consciousness. First of all, I'm sorry about the molestation. That is not okay. Ever. Ever. Yeah, your brain took care of you. Your spirit left you. It left your body. Wow. We've heard about that a lot. In fact, I've heard, and thank you for sharing that. I was really pushing and I didn't realize it was something like that. And I apologize if that was too much information to share. I used to watch the show I Survived, I think is what it was called. And a lot of people said like horrific things. And a lot of people said that they left their body or their body didn't feel anymore. It was fascinating. Second time looked down at me in a car wreck, not dead. Wow. That's so cool. Wow. Very cool. All right, you guys, going on 2 hours. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm so glad you guys were all here and I love your shares. I really love my YouTube community. Who the freak knew? If someone said you're going to be a YouTuber, I would have laughed. I don't even, still to this day, I'm like, I'm on YouTube. What am I doing? Like, but it feels good. It feels good. And that's why I'm here. That is literally why I'm here. So I'm just going to keep doing this because I like it and I like you guys. In fact, I love you guys. I love everything you share and everything you bring to this community. So thank you for being here. And please give me a like. Don't forget to like and share with someone. If you got someone you think would benefit from this, re-listen to it if you need to, right? Take some notes. This is how I learn. I listened to, like I told you, when I was listening to Dr. Joe's replay of him answering my question, I must have rewinded that thing about 15 times and played it for other people because I really wanted it to sink in. I took notes. That's how we learn. That's how we learn, and that's how we change our experiences of this life, quite literally, because we're taking in new information. We're not just repeating the same old baloney that we have in there already. Not calling you guys baloney. You get what I'm saying? It's like same old blah blah blah, the same old stuff we got over and over again. All right, you guys, I must boogie. Was this sound okay? Someone please tell me if the sound was okay, if it was clear enough. I'm sure I'll hear it on the replay too. I guess I could do that. But thank you guys for being here. Much love to each and every one of you. I love you. I love you coming here. I love co-creating with you. And thank you for all your feedback. So until next time, remember, you matter. Now go love yourself. Go love your bad self. That's what I'm going to say. Go love your kick-ass self because you guys all rock. Okay? Much love, everybody. See ya. I got a little hand thing here. Sounds good. Okay. Thanks, little iodine. Peace, everybody.